Hey guys, welcome back to Kerbal Space Program with Nitro. I've been playing a little bit of Kerbal Space Program recently, and I wanted to do some revamps of some of the stuff I did before. The first one I wanted to redo here was the Duna Rover that I made a little while back. I made a little like drop box with a rover in it that was like a rover garage that you could land on the surface of Duna, and so this is the newer model I have of it here. This is the launch vehicle and deorbital engine piece that you see up here. I have a large docking port on here for docking the transfer stage, so you assemble this thing up in orbit. And I put heat shields on the bottom of this, but I don't really think they're needed for Duna, but you could potentially take this thing out to, say, Lithe. And then these would help you for atmospheric re-entry there, or perhaps Eve. So you can kind of take this rover anywhere you'd like. And I have 8 radiator panels on here too to try and help with heat. Although I'm not entirely sure if they really work during atmospheric re-entry heat, or if they're just engine heat dispersal. Haven't played around with these radiator panels too terribly much. So this thing does have the blast door configuration that I had on the other one, since I don't have any mods or anything installed for like hydraulics or anything like that. But yeah, this is the general assembly of it. So after you launch this up in space, I'll show you the transfer stage that I built real quick here. So I kind of had to remake the transfer stage since they changed the way the nuclear engines work. So it used to be that these took liquid fuel plus oxidizer, but now they take just liquid fuel. So I kind of had to change how these work here. So the way it works now is I have a large fuel tank around here that does have the liquid fuel oxidizer mix, but these engines fuel off of just these like liquid fuel fuselages, and so these fuel all the way around. And what I found in testing so far is that these will radiate heat evenly until you get down to just 2, and then I think the overheat process starts, but I didn't need to burn them too much in order to get my full burnout to Duna done. Now, I'm going to be changing this design later, just because this isn't really efficient for space, because we have these like 80 liquid fuel nose cones here, but it would be more efficient to just have multiples of these liquid fuel fuselages attached up on the top and bottom, so that way you could just detach those and that would give you 3 times more fuel basically. So I'm going to play around with that when I go out to Joule again and try some things out there. Now, this transfer stage, you launch it up, and it does have a liquid fuel oxidizer rocket down here. It's got the little poodle engine to use up that central tank. So these nuclear engines will only use fuel from these outer fuselages up into them, and then once they're done, you jettison these, and then you just run the poodle. When you launch this thing up in space, you can just decouple this nose cone. This is just for getting it up there into orbit nicely without any crazy drag issues. And so I'm going to have these available for download for you guys, so the link will be in the description. You'll just have to look for Transfer Stage 1 and the Duna Rover. So I'm going to take you now out to the one that I actually have over at Duna that's ready to land, and we're gonna try and land it now. I haven't landed it yet, so I'm not really sure how well it's gonna work, but I'm pretty sure I have enough fuel to just like land the thing outright. And you can see I already have the maneuver node set up. I think this is the same crater I landed the Duna rover at before a while ago, but we'll see if it is when I land there. So there's the Duna rover. Now when it comes around to orbit, will burn roughly around here, hopefully, and that'll bring us into the center of this crater that we got here. So let's go ahead out there and fly it. There we go. Alright, so here's what's left after transferring out to Duna. So you can see I have 2 engines remaining. Now, in the actual design, these aren't asparagus, so what I did is I burned off the entire fuel tank here, and then I just manually transferred the 2 outer engines into this fuel tank, so that's why this has like a little bit that's eaten off of it, and these also have a little bit that's eaten off of it here, as you can tell. So I guess I can transfer some of this in here to both of these if I really wanted to. There we go. So now they're at full fuel. So far it's doing pretty good. I think I have enough fuel to deorbit. I'm not sure if I have enough fuel in here for like a perfectly smooth landing, so I can decelerate all the way even into the parachutes, but we'll see. I'll try to be as conservative as I possibly can. Alright, so let's warp all the way around. And we're gonna have to change the maneuver node a little bit, as always. Yeah, good. Oh, can't go any faster than that. Okay. So this does have electrical generators in it, I do believe. Although I kind of forgot where I put them at. I don't know if they're on the side here or not. No, they must be in the inside. It's been a little while since I built this thing. Alright, so let's go ahead and slow this down here for a second, open up our node, and we're gonna scooch this down that way. And then this has changed a bit, so I'm gonna have to change it like that. And it should be good. I'm pretty excited to also be able to come back and play Kerbal Space Program with the new update they're doing and changing it into a newer version of Unity. I think that's going to wind up being really cool. I can run a much larger spacecraft at a much better frame rate, which I didn't really have too many problems before. I could get up into the thousands of parts and still have, like, I don't know, maybe 15 FPS. Alright, so 47 seconds until we hit the burn marker there. Don't have to be terribly accurate with the burn. Okay, so I think I have enough parachutes on here to stop us from crashing into the surface, but I don't know about how much fuel we got, so I gotta be really careful about all this. I do have the volume turned down, so hopefully the rocket isn't gonna be too loud for you guys. Let's go ahead and burn. Let's open up our fuel gauge here. Alright. So far so good. I would like to land in the crater. It looks like I'm going to be able to. Now there is some liquid fuel in the rover itself, but it's not really a significant amount for this overall. I do have RCS online that I'm able to use if I need to try and burn RCS as well. I don't think I'll need to. We're doing pretty good on the burn here. It's actually nice and quiet. And coming in. There we go. Perfect. Alright. Now, as we get closer, I'm going to burn again, and then we're going to bring this parabola, you know, nice and close together, and we're going to try to drop right down on top of the landing zone. And yeah, it looks like we got plenty of fuel. Almost burned out all through that tank there. Yeah, so this RCS container here, this is empty. I already used that a while back for inclination changes, but the RCS that we have available to us is these 4 canisters of the 150 up here. So that's mainly what I'm looking at using. Alright, so let's go ahead and time warp in a little bit. Yeah, I think we're getting pretty close to the atmosphere. Yep. Alright, so let's add a maneuver here. I'll try to bring this in roughly there. And we'll give it a little bit of leeway. Alright, so we got a 500 meter per second delta V burn here, so let's do that. Throttle up. Bring RCS online as well and just try to help the engines out. It takes up a few meters per second, so I'm okay with that. Yeah, I don't think we're going to be needing heat shields at all, but I'll probably take up like some of the crash tolerance. Alright, burning through fuel. Might be a little close. Alright, that should be good right there. I think I'm happy with that. Alright. A little bit of fuel remaining, which is just what I wanted. Got 135 out of each. That's good. Close that off there, so that gives us a realistic look at how much fuel we actually do have. Go ahead and use RCS for maneuvering at this point. Plenty of RCS fuel remaining. Alright, now it's just a slow descent into the Dune atmosphere. Let's time warp it a little bit here. Looks like we're going to come down pretty much right on the center point, which is where I wanted to hit. So that's good. I do want to keep the engine attached to us until we get pretty close to the landing zone, just so I can use up the remaining amount of fuel to slow down and hopefully help these parachutes deploy, because the parachutes don't deploy until like the last second on the ground on Duna, just because the atmosphere is thinner than on Kerbin. Keep an eye on it here. Yeah, we're coming down pretty good. Try and orient us a little bit here. Alright, so these are the drogue chutes that are right here. And then we have the second set, which is the other parachutes that'll help us slow down all the way. Now, these last two stages are for jettisoning the engines. Alright. Try deploying the drogues. So there's all the drogue chutes deployed. And it is slowing us down. Check the map. Yeah, it's about right where I wanted to land. That's good. Let's start burning fuel. There's the larger parachutes. And we're slowing down. Alright, so the important thing is the craft is pointed upright. When I was testing on curving, that didn't happen. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so we are slowed down here about as much as we need to, so let's go ahead and eject. Oops. There we go. Alright, so inside here we have our little rover, and we need to... Scary. Do I have the right clicky thing? I don't think I do. There we go. Oh my god. Explosions. Control from here. Alright, 12 meter per second. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's just the, yeah, that was just, yeah, whatchamacallit, heat shields, and it looks like we also lost one of the landing feet, which I did forget to deploy entirely, but that's fine. Alright, so we do have a safe landing on the surface of Duna, and we're going to eject the blast door in 3, 2, 1. There we go. Blast door deployed. More explosions. Okay. Yeah, so we lost, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the heat shields that just blew off the craft right there. Alright. So let's put the brakes on. Check the rover. Alright, rover's secure. Let's try and get it out. Gotta be real careful here. Yeah, these supports I got in there, they're a little tricky. Kind of a pain in the butt. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get the rover out now. I guess if I spin them around here and then vacuum out, I should be able to get them out. There we go. Ah, much better. Alright, so let's see. Let's lock the steering on the rear tires. That way we have a rear wheel drive vehicle. More or less. It is still all-wheel drive, I guess, but we don't need the turning, I don't think, on the rear wheels. There we go. Alright. So we don't need RCS to be active. I do have RCS tanks available on here. Let's go ahead and just put the brakes on real quick. Alright, so I got a couple of little RCS tanks on here. It does have RCS, as you can see right there. And I think I have a couple of single direction ones right there on the bottom. A couple of really small engines, and there is one fuel pod on either side for those, so we do have a little bit of liquid fuel in here. That was the RCS port. Right there it is. So let's just go ahead and unlock these. And unlock these. Something's moving. Alright. Let's go ahead and deploy our little antennas. I got it? Yeah, there it is. Boop. Alrighty. Come on, damn you. There's our lights. See if we can't go down to the, check out the debris in the little debris field that we got there. Alright. I think I might have action groups set up on this guy. If I remember right. It's going a little weird here. I don't know if it's because we're hitting bumps or what's going on. Those camera shakes. Yeah, so here's some of the pieces of debris. Yeah, so I do have some little xenon gas engines here that are set up. I'll go ahead and activate all the engines. Yeah, I do have them on a hotkey. So I got number 1, I believe, is going to be the xenon gas engines. Number 2 will probably be these other engines that we have here. Let's throttle up just to be sure. Yep. And then hit 1. Ooh, very cool. I always love these little engines here. They're so neat. Yep. So 1 and 2 activates and deactivates those. Probably could have, if we landed over here in like the flat spot, that would have been really nice, but oh well. We kind of landed on a hill up here, which isn't necessarily the best thing. But yeah, I wanted to do some more little experiments on Duna and try to get some land operations going here. I did want to get an actual permanent kind of garage setup, more like what I did last time. And this is the first test garage I have for that. And it actually worked in delivering the rover, but now what I need to do is I need to make like a permanent kind of home garage, I guess you could call it. That I can just drop on the surface, and then it will be like a refueling station, like a ground sort of refueling and just a garage basically for the rover. So we'll be able to park it in there and hopefully also be able to dock it. So in the next garage, I'm gonna have to get a different type of rover, obviously, in order to dock it. Or I guess I could have the claw on the inside, and that would be able to grab the rover. But yeah, I just wanted to have a like little docking port up here where we have the jettison thing. So that's the plans for the next one. I do need to set it up in a spot that's pretty flat, so where I landed this one isn't gonna do. And I'll be able to set a maneuver and target the rover on the ground, so that way I know exactly like where it is. I don't know what's going on with the screen shakiness here. Is it SAS that's causing that, or what the deal? I don't understand. But yeah, I'll be able to target this thing, so you'll be able to set the ground rover as your target from orbit, and then that'll help me drop it directly on top of the rover. So that'll be nice. We're going a bit quick. But yeah, this is a nice flat area here. So this would be the ideal landing zone. It would be somewhere in this area, in the crater. Probably right here. I like this spot. It is a little hard to find like flat ground in Kerbal Space Program in order to put anything. But this looks pretty good. I like this spot right here. So I'm going to park this rover. This is just going to be our little ground rover that's going to mark our spot for our future garage here. So we'll park this guy and let's see, rename vessel. So this is a rover. Call this Duna base marker. There we go. Alright guys, so we're going to have this guy just chilling out here on the ground for a while, and I'm going to clear up the rest of this debris, and next time hopefully we'll get a an actual garage setup that I can send down here, and then I'm going to have some sort of like a ground-based refueler type truck. So we're going to need the processing lab for ore and stuff like that. And I want to be able to have either something that is capable of flight on Duna, which is kind of hard to do, or what I think I'm going to wind up doing, which would be a ground-based sort of refueler ship. But if it's ground-based, the issue with that is getting it over large distances in order to get fuel. So I'm going to have to scan the surface of Duna, which I haven't done a whole lot of actually. Haven't played around with the scanners or the drillers to see like what kind of resources are available on Duna, but I do want to play around with that a little bit and see what's going on there. If there are resources right here in the crater, we're set. But if there's not, we have to go like to the ice caps or something. That's kind of a long trek, and getting back into a crater is always an issue. So the ship may need to be capable of surface landing and getting back into like kind of a suborbital trajectory or something like that, or just capable of atmospheric flight at least on the surface of Duna, which, you know, Duna's atmosphere doesn't support the air-breathing jet engines, so I'll have to use actual rocket engines in order to get things into position, because I don't have the mods for like propeller engines or anything like that, which even then, like, those wouldn't work because they take gasoline and air, so I'll just see what I can do. But yeah, so this is the first little step in getting a base set up on Duna for this next kind of set of Kerbal Space Program videos I want to get set up, guys. So pretty excited to get back into this and start playing again. Next video that'll be coming out will be one of the shuttle design that I did. So one of my first shuttles, I just wanted to fly that around Kerbin and attempt to land it. I haven't landed it yet, so that'll be pretty fun to see if that'll work or not. Alright guys, I want to thank you all for watching, hope you enjoyed, and until next time, take care.